To pray, there's no angels where I go. Only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Midoriya, Momo, and Bakugo, they just went on a bit of a stealth mission. And well, surprise surprise, everything went according to plan. Bakugo did get to spend a bit of time with her old friend, the one that she's known since childhood. While Midoriya, yeah, he's been a bit odd. He hasn't really shown a lot of emotion. In fact, he just seems to be more tactical and cunning than ever. While Momo did at least want to see if Bakugo was a bit jealous. They got proper outfits for the mission, then hey, everything went fine. Now, let's pick up from there. Now, the joke I made last episode, I want to say that it's not canon, even though it probably was funny. Now, let's begin. Everyone is discussing exactly what to do. Momo is being told that they might have another mission, and if they do need her help, then, well, they can call for her, or ask for it. Bakugo, someone just saying that that might not ever happen. Besides, whenever she becomes a pro, she can't just start mingling with them. Sorry to say. However, your whole society thing, yeah, I guess I can understand it. But, actually someone just brings her hand up. And someone just grabs onto the fabric of the dress, saying, what about this thing, in the suit underneath? Oh, that. Well, keep it. Really? Yes. From what I know, you don't have a lot of those things, correct? And, well, consider it a gift. Then again, it is valued at around, what is it, 5,000 USD? So, well, go ahead. I couldn't really care less. Now, Bakugo, she leaves. Still a bit surprised at hearing exactly how much this dress cost. Now, after she leaves, Midoriya does try and compose himself. The chaos in his head is not helping, as he simply just holds up the USB, thinking for a second. What should we do with this? I know. Let's plug it into a computer and look into it. Get into the Ghoul prison and find out exactly what they're doing to us. They claim to just lock us up. But you're smarter than that, aren't you? If one Ghoul gets to be too much to handle, eventually they have to put it down. They consider us monsters, so you'd have to put down a monster just like a rabid dog, wouldn't you? I will agree with you there. Midoriya is saying out loud. Momo watching this entire conversation, as he does hand the USB over to someone at the manor, who's a bit more knowledgeable about this subject. Now, Midoriya does actually leave, taking the suit with him. Momo actually trying to stop him, and wanting to talk with him. Now, Midoriya is already at the front gate whenever she got to him, and she does want to know a simple question. Exactly, why did he stand up for her the other day? Why did you attack my father? Oh, it's quite simple. No parent or person should go through pain, let alone be treated like that. Besides, the way his movements were, he didn't hesitate on the second hit. So I can tell this happened before, am I correct? Now, Momo completely drops the facade. Her unwavering confidence seemingly just shattering like glass. Midoriya, watching, as that smug smirk goes off of her face, and she just looks like a frightened child. Innocent. Midoriya seeing that. Her just explaining to him, anytime she tries to help, tries to take charge, she, well, tries not to fail. She doesn't want to disappoint her father. If she does, usually it always ends with something like this. The first time, she didn't expect anything of it. She was confident and overzealous in herself. And her dad locked her in a room. She locked her in the dark for 5 days. And, well, she only ate one day. So, she went hungry for a bit of time. The next time I failed, he actually hit her. Now, she does go on to explain certain things that have happened. After the 5th time she failed, yeah, she hasn't failed since then. Especially since it involved, well, killing her best friend, the one that was always around with her. She was the only one that could really understand her at the manor. After her death, she tried to sort things out. And, well, I think you can see how that all turned out. Midoriya actually seeing this side to her. Her just saying that she isn't used to someone trying to protect her. She's used to them trying to hurt her or murder her. But he is different. And if he does need any more help, to contact them. Every resource she can get her hands onto will be at his disposal. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. In fact, you're helping us. So, I can't thank you enough. Please, come back. You're... Momo's struggling to say the words, as tears begin to roll down her face, saying that he's her friend. Someone that she can really be honest with. He's helped her on her own combat techniques, how to fight and how to move. One of the reasons why she's been able to actually help out. And, well, fight. Becoming a hero. That idea might not be plausible very soon. And the way things are going, she doesn't want to be in his warpath. She doesn't want to be on the sidelines. She kind of wants to be next to him, helping put out the fire afterwards. Now, Midoriya leaves, not really saying a word, talking to this other version of him, trying to deduce exactly what that was. She's been hurt and, well, gone through some things like him, right? Not on the same level of extreme, but it was by her own father and some of the people at the manor no less. And a dead friend. She seemed real enough. However, isn't that her tactic? You let her talk, and she'll get in your head. Then again, her heart rate didn't skyrocket. And he's seen her do fake tears before. That being a thought Midoriya has while he's lying in bed at night. Still dressed up in this tuxedo. And we do have Bakugo. She is simply just standing in her room. It's very late and she really shouldn't even be up. However, she's still just looking into the mirror, with the dress on. this very expensive piece of cloth, the only thing that she has to express her feminine side. Walking over to her bed and putting her hand underneath it, pulling the mask out between the two mattresses, and actually holding it up before putting it on, and at least thinking. A beautiful maiden with a dress wore a mask to a party, and she had to leave right before midnight, before things returned back to normal. Her life of poverty. However, there was a prince who believed that he could find this woman, that he believed to be connected to him. It's a beautiful story. Her imagination running a bit wild. Imagining the story of Cinderella, the beautiful monster, well, being a prince. Now, with that being said, the next day comes, and they are getting prepared. Their assault on a prison, their all-out war. As soon as they launch this attack, the CCG will know that ghouls are helping other ghouls. It's simply like a pack of animals. One might not be dangerous. However, whenever they do have someone leading the pack, they're organized, tactical, and very deadly. Now, with that being said, they begin. The person they get to hack into, well, the CCG mainframe, for the prison, he gets to the firewall very easily. In fact, he's not really even questioning it, since money talks. Now, with that being said, this is whenever a lot of ghouls are ready. The CCG is unaware as to why the roof is open, thinking for a minute that there might be a last-minute transfer, or they're transferring another set of ghouls, or possibly more guards. Now, Midoriya does actually slip into something a bit more comfortable, bringing his hand up before moving it back, revealing his half Kakuja. Now, Midoriya then jumps into the prison as he begins to fly down. Midoriya and quite a few other ghouls. Inko among them. Now, Midoriya, it did take a bit of time and convincing, but hey, a mother isn't going to let her son do anything stupid, at least not alone. Now, Midoriya is falling directly in, as he just immediately reveals his Kokaku, and beginning to blast away multiple spikes. Now, with that being said, guards in the prison begin to throw off the alarms, and trying to get things organized, as ghouls begin to just start running around, begin to just start wreaking havoc on the place. The man who's directly on the console for emergency services, yeah, he was taken down very easily, since he's possibly going to trigger the emergency, well, switches. The stuff that can turn off their Koganes. Now, with that being said, Midoriya actually just began to run around, slicing into and killing off quite a lot of the detectives, and picking up their Quincase. Now, Midoriya, he's actually at least holding up one. It looks like a longsword. In fact, it does look at least beautiful. And, well, he can't believe that they made something so ugly as a, well, weapon out of this. The beauty in it is good. However, as he just snaps it in two, and it drops to the ground, turning back into just a simple organ. What are you thinking? It takes pain for something ugly to be beautiful, and you really don't see the process. Midoriya walking forwards, stepping through as he just starts bashing onto every single door he passes, and basically getting every ghoul's attention as he jumps lower into the prison. On comms, he can at least tell that Momo is having a bit of trouble. She's trying to go through exactly what the hacker is telling her to do. In fact, this is a bit difficult. Now, along with that, Inko still doesn't want to be here, especially since what can happen. Now, with that being said, she does see her son going lower. She herself using her Kagune and beginning to fight off the security around her, taking down a few of the team. As she immediately thinks for 1 second, her son is going to bite off more than he can chew. Bring her hand up and biting off her thumb, as she immediately just pulls it out of her mouth and throws it. It's, well, regenerating itself, creating a fake double. Now, this fake double, if you guys are unaware, is created through manipulating RC cells a certain way. Now, the double just begins to fight alongside Inko, helping her maintain at least some ground for a bit of time, as she's being completely overwhelmed since she is priority number 1, the binge eater. Midoriya jumping lower and lower into the prison, Momo hitting the release, and Midoriya watching as many cell blocks are opened, as he just begins to scream out that everyone is free. Everyone must listen to him. He is the three-eyed ghoul. He's also Eye Patch. So, you must listen to my words. Many, many humans don't want us to be free. They consider us to be monsters. So, we're gonna show them that we're just as important as them. That they can't exterminate us. Something would bring us back. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, I have a plan. Who is with me? Now, some ghouls begin to cheer on Midoriya, while others stay silent. A very large man stepping out of one of these cubes, before just saying that that is precious. Midoriya turning to see the man. It is the one who sold Midoriya, who tore open his stomach. In fact, most of his guts. Telling the kid that he is delusional. If he thinks that humans would want to live side by side with us, then he has another thing. So, I say we try and make our own society. Try and make an uprising. Hunt them all down. And feast. Dine on the finest flesh. And show them that if they want to fear the monsters, then we will be the monsters. Midoriya is looking at this man, as he just begins to smile, saying that it was a lot easier than he thought. Now, some ghouls begin to cheer this man on. And, well, yeah. Some ghouls are trying to stay out of it, some are not, getting hostile with other ones. Starting a riot. Now, with that being said, Onigiri Tree, They are taking this chance to come into the prison. They have heard about this little encounter. So, they are curious as to what is going on here. Now, Onigiri Tree, they simply observe, along with wanting to see this battle. They knew that this school was housed here. However, did Eye Patch know? Possibly no. From what I've seen, well, he's blatantly unimpressive, and doesn't hold much. Then again, the eye patch is interesting. Why cover an eye? I don't know, but really, do you still think it's true? Well, if the boy, or well, man, I guess you could say, is really what we think he is, then he would be very useful to us. So, I say we listen, and see where this goes. Now, back to Midoriya. He is staring down this school, releasing his Kagune, along with the tail. The man actually being a bit confused and surprised. As Midoriya stares him down, telling him that last time was an accident. He caught him by surprise, and he also was a cheeky bastard. Well, kid, you've changed. Besides, 2 months is not mean shit. You wanna know how I got caught? Those bastards at the Ayama residence decided to sell me out. They weren't smart about it, however. You wanna know how I know it was them? They booby-trapped my pickup. And they planted flesh on it. In fact, they even gave it a name. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does rush forwards, releasing his wings, flying forwards at massive amounts of speed, throwing his hand directly upwards along with his leg. The ghoul backing up and beginning to use his own armor as he grows in size and just begins to get stronger. Midoriya actually having to release all 8 of his, well, I guess you can say limbs. Now, the ghoul actually does see this, as Midoriya just begins to blast away at him while running forwards, surprising him by immediately just dodging to the left whenever he does throughout his arm, coming up and immediately stabbing down into it, beginning to tear through it with all, I guess you could say, 10 or 9 appendages, beginning to just tear through the arm simply and blatantly. Now, the CCG has already sent in a squad to deal with this. They are sending in squads in the Hartoru, I believe it was pronounced, armor. And they're beginning to make their way throughout the facilities. The things are more stabilized, and should not have the drawback anymore. At least they should. These are still prototype suits. Every day they are tweaked and modified. As Midoriya begins to fight off the school, jumping throughout the air and dodging him, trying to use his immense speed as his saving grace. The other ghoul swinging around his body weight, throwing in his hand directly into a pillar, as it crumbles into 2, immediately falling forwards and smashing into more, beginning to take down these cells, the things that keep them underground. Now, Midoriya gets smacked away, before smashing through a wall and immediately just getting back up, running in and immediately attacking. As soon as the guy does come in to grab Midoriya by his face, he grabs Midoriya's mask. Midoriya immediately just bringing his hand up, smacking his, tearing the mask off of his face as he immediately kicks his leg into the man's arm, and just begins to slash along behind it. cutting his arm in two from, well, I guess you could say down the middle, along with his hand. Midoriya then jumping upwards and wrapping around the arm, before releasing the centipedes, beginning to tear into and murder the man's appendage, before it eventually does have to come off. Midoriya then going directly for the man's face, going for what he believes to be the man's eyes. The man bringing up his other hand and smacking Midoriya out of the air, as the CCG begin to try and intervene. They get a good lock on Midoriya, and begin to go after him. He is a priority target. The other ghoul they have already been able to maintain here. The gas will take him down. Now, Midoriya can hear them, as he immediately just brings up his arm, blocking the CCG's blade, and just saying that those simple tricks won't work on him. He himself beginning to form his own little armor, the mask regrowing back over his face, as he begins to start muttering off things. Now, Momo and Inko are at least trying to work on getting the people they need. Momo is running throughout the facility. As soon as she does find their cell numbers, she smashes open the door as much as she can, getting her people free. Now, some of their people, sadly, were destroyed, or killed, really. Put into the, well, I guess you could call it the Ghoul Smasher, I think it was called. There was a name for it. Now, with that being said, they are at least running throughout the prison, and trying to escape. Onigiri Tree watching the battle below. Midoriya's appendages all forming into centipedes, along with beginning to wrap around his entire body, as they just watch the armor form more and more and more. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, he can feel the other guy coming forwards, stepping into the light as he steps into the dark. The other guy opening his eyes and beginning to just start laughing over and over and over again. As the CCG, they understand something about this. The kid has been cannibalizing. Now, he's a very strong ghoul, as one of them does see an opening, going directly for it. This will allow them to cut the ghoul in half, take him down, and immediately deploy the countermeasures, taking down the bigger guy. This being whenever the detective drops his Quinque, and the others do look as to where he is, seeing a ghoul standing directly in front of Midoriya. As Midoriya drops to his hands and knees, beginning to feel his RC cells overcharge, beginning to just feel this armor tear away at him, as he just begins to scream out in pain and agony. The pain in his body hurts, but at the same time, he feels stronger. Inko tearing apart the man, as Midoriya gets sent flying by this thing behind him. The other ghoul just saying that the fight is not over, not to take his eyes away from it. As Inko directly engages the CCG, while Midoriya, he simply looks around himself, seeing bodies littered all around him, and he begins to feed. He just begins to let his hunger overcome him, tearing into and eating these ghouls. Now, as soon as Midoriya is found by an investigator, he takes his attention back to them, blasting back in and directly smashing them directly in the chest, and shattering the armor on their body. As soon as that happens, Midoriya throws his hand outwards, directly into the man's guts. The man dropping down onto his hands and knees, bringing his hand up and throwing it directly downwards. Midoriya grabbing his Quinque out of the air. A giant cleaver. Nice. However, you made one mistake. Midoriya is beginning to crush it, as it breaks into pieces in his hands. Midoriya is saying that the monsters you fight, you use those abilities, those fake monsters. Are you sure you don't turn yourself into one in the process? Come on, I know something's eating away at you. Midoriya just beginning to just sniff the man, saying that he can tell there's a secret hiding, something you don't want to say. Fear. Regrets. You sympathize, don't you? Did I kill one of your friends? Don't worry. Midoriya pulling back his hand and kicking the man away, saying that he'll join him soon, but he does have to go help out someone else. Your wounds won't be fatal. Left untreated, of course. They are. Have a good night, investigator. Midoriya running off, as he slams directly into this giant ghoul. Now, whenever he slams into it, he actually does get its attention. It just beginning to, well, mutate further, going a bit higher and higher, as Midoriya watches them. And he himself feels power, feels things beginning to be a bit more fun. As he rushes forwards, Inko joining in, along with Momo and her allies, the ones who stayed behind to fight. Yeah. They wanted to fight on Midoriya's behalf. He helped free them. He's the entire reason why this operation is possible. Now, Midoriya just continues on, as he reaches this stage, somewhat of a bit in balance. This is him giving up some manner of control to the other guy, as he simply tears apart this ghoul, beginning to reach further and further into the man's flesh. The man's being overpowered by a group of 10 ghouls. Relatively to S class, a couple A class, and possibly a B class. Now, this is whenever the man does actually get a bit desperate. Other ghouls joining into the fight for him, along with the CCG deploying more and more troops, along with the gas. The people who, well, need to try to evacuate, along with Inko trying to pull Midoriya off of the man, as he just begins to keep fighting over and over, even whenever he gets his body smashed into the ground, and the only option he has is tearing away at the man's flesh, trying to rip it apart, trying to take him down. Now, with that being said, Inko does actually smash directly into the man's arm, bending it and cutting halfway through it. The man, damaged enough and feeling his RC cells depleting, he moves to the left, onto that arm, as it begins to crumble away, almost decay. Now, heroes are trying to help in the situation, being held off by the CCG. Now, Midoriya is at least standing, and he's looking up, taking a deep breath, smelling the air. It smells putrid, and it smells bad. The mask on his face beginning to crumble, as Inko's trying to shake him out of his delusions, trying to tell him to get a hold on himself, and that he needs to get out of here. Midoriya and Inko quickly trying to make an escape. Momo is already to safety, so she just begins to run. Her and Midoriya, beginning to run, climbing throughout the facility using their Kagunes, before they encounter more CCG resistance. And they form the three-eyed ghoul once more, in armor, beginning to smash through and tear away at quite a lot of the people, before more of the CCG units are deployed. The ones that were already at the prison have begun to get things under their control, and they're helping out against the three-eyed ghoul, the actual three-eyed ghoul, the one that they've seen in the reports, beginning to overwhelm it with a force of over 15 troops, all equipped with this armor. Inko beginning to understand the situation, making multiple doppelgangers out of her hands, tearing off her fingers and making these things as they all begin to fight, and simply lead the CCG on wild goose chases. Before she simply tells her son that only one of them are getting out of here. The CCG has them surrounded, and if they continue on like this, they aren't going to win. Now, Midoriya feels anger, stating to his mother that they can win if they work together. If you do what I think you're about to say, kid, I think she is. Bullshit! You've taught me everything I know. I know when the odds are against us. They can be killed. Midoriya, listen to me, baby. Your mother loves you. Now, I'm going to let down the armor and cause, well, hopefully, big enough damage to distract them. So, as soon as I give the signal, you need to run, okay? No. Midoriya manifesting the wings before he goes to take flight with them, holding onto his mother. Them getting high enough into the air and beginning to fly away. The CCG hot on their tail, as a missile is shot directly into Midoriya's back. And this actually sends them flying down towards the ground, smashing into the street as Inko begins to run. And, well, the CCG open fire on the ghoul. Inko smashing directly into a large semi-truck, carrying a lot of fuel. As it explodes, Inko immediately throws her son into the sewer. And, well, continues what she was doing. There is enough armor there to maintain it. If it gets damaged, then, well, yeah, that's not going to work out. Her just standing directly on the manhole cover. Midoriya screaming and smashing onto it to let him back out there, before she simply tells him to just run. Midoriya not doing so, running through the sewer and beginning to try and crawl through the drainage system, before just watching his mother fight off the CCG and get overwhelmed as they take her head. Midoriya saw it, completely angered and enraged, his mind being set free. His sanity returned to him at the worst possible points. In fact, it couldn't be worse. His mother died, and they're going to use her Kagune. He already knows that. Before he swallows his pride and does what his mother wanted for the last time, he runs. He takes off running as fast as he can. Meanwhile, on the news, Bakugo, she saw that. That ghoul with the mask was Midoriya's mother. As she stands up and immediately walks into her room, somewhat trying to understand what the fuck is going on. Now, Midoriya eventually does get back to the mansion, And whenever he does, it's not pretty. Midoriya, his suit is damaged and worn, and he has tears streaming down his face. As soon as he walks in, Momo turns around. Her father's standing there with a smile on his face, saying that they've all done well, and that he should not underestimate her anymore, praising his daughter for her bravery in extracting their fellow ghouls, their family. While Midoriya, he walks in with tears in his eyes, and Momo sees him, confused for a second, as Midoriya just drops onto his hands and knees, and just begins to cry, angry at himself, smashing his hands into the floor, shouting that his mother died. All because he wanted to stay and fight. All because he thought he could make a difference. They were going to overwhelm us. I see that. This fucker in my head. I just want you to leave. Midoriya says he just begins to smash his head into the ground, shouting for him to just leave him alone. Leave the tactics to him. And he'll leave the insanity to him. Now, after Momo stops him, he does eventually try and think of something else. That's all he can really do. His entire life just came crumbling down in one fell swoop. And he can't really process it, not very well. He himself just thinking, as he changes into another set of clothes, after showering. The CCG is going to plant her body into that thing, that machine, so he won't even have something to bury. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does walk out and see all the ghouls around him, along with Momo, who's holding out her hand. Now, Midoriya is confused, as they do walk outside. Midoriya is seeing what is going on. A celebration of life. Something to mourn the dead. They don't have a lot of things on hand right now, let alone everyone for a party. However, he can see ghouls dancing and celebrating someone they don't know, someone who freed them, someone who liberated them from that place. As Midoriya stands there with tears in his eyes, watching, as Momo grabs him by the hand and drags him down there. Now, Midoriya, he doesn't really want to, but everyone's encouraging him to dance, as Midoriya does so. Everyone around him screaming and crying out, and celebrating life and death. Midoriya screaming also. Everyone is howling at the moon. And for a split second, he feels free. Just as free as, well, he used to. He felt normal, even though this clearly isn't. And, well, the celebration ended. Midoriya heading back inside, and taking a seat on one of the couches in there. Momo walking in after him, and wanting to talk with him. Midoriya has clarity, for the first time in a while. His mother just died, yet he's able to keep his mind stable. Inko is dead. He knows that. Now, he's just thinking, everything she taught him, he has to put it to good use. They sent many ghouls free today, and that is good. Many of them actually respect him now, and Mr. Yaoyorozu does actually want to speak with him. He knows that it's going to happen very soon. He needs me on his side. Momo getting Midoriya's attention. As he looks at her, she is in makeup and a mask, telling him that tonight was fun. She doesn't usually feel like this, and success isn't really something she's accustomed to feeling good about. As she simply hops onto Midoriya's lap and brings her hand up to his face, saying that tonight was well deserved. And, well, she's very sorry. As long as she's known his mother, it wasn't long. But she was a good woman for how she treated him, how she raised him, ready to face the world as it is ugly, not sugarcoating it. Before Midoriya simply pulls her in close and gives her a kiss. Momo, she doesn't pull away, as the two begin to just stay there, as the fire is raging outside. And well, they embrace, kissing on the couch and making out. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.